family care. Hudson, nashukuru sana umekuja leo.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
I'm happy to be part of this interview.
We are happy that you're here, Hudson. We also do have with us Anne Njoki Chege. She's an alternative care expert, the Tree of Life. Thank you so much for coming, Anne.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You.
Right. So I just want us to get straight into it. You know, like I said, it is Foster Care Week in Kenya. We are celebrating it rather. I think it ends today.
Actually, tomorrow.
It's ending tomorrow.
Yes.
It's ending tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of vagueness for some people. In aspects on how Kenya, handles the program of foster care or adoption. So I want to give Hudson here the opportunity to, tell us how it's done in our country and the difference between the two, foster care and adoption.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Remmy. Good morning, our viewers. Just like it has been said, my name is Imbai Hudson, working for the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection in the State Department for Social Protection under the Directorate of Children's Services. First of all, I would like to appreciate K24 for according us this opportunity in order to be able to discuss this important topic of foster care. First of all, allow me to also acknowledge the leadership of the ministry for which I work under, through the leadership of the CS, Dr. Alfred Mutua, together with his peers, for also giving us that supportive environment and leadership to be able to come this far. Back to our topic of the day, foster care. Today we are saying we are here to discuss with viewers with regard to foster care. We are saying foster care is that form of care that a child is being offered to, especially that child that is not able to live within the normal family setup. How is it different from adoption? Foster care, by its very nature, is a temporal way of taking care of a child within the family setup, whereas adoption, on the other hand, is a permanent form of care. And for adoption, it is happening at the High Court, of course, through an application done by an applicant, in this case called the prospective adoptive parent. So basically, we are saying foster care is temporal, in that you are staying with this child as a parent for a period not exceeding a year, that is subject to renewable twice, so that in the aggregate, the foster parent now stays with that child for a period of 3 years. However, you can still be allowed to extend beyond the 3 years, but this one now is done through court.
I see.
Maybe just to add, foster care is free. You are not supposed to be charged anything, but there are documents that you are supposed to provide that may necessitate you now to maybe spend some money, like the certificate of good conduct. That is where you may need now to pay to the Directorate of Criminal Investigation.
I hear you. All right,
Yes.
we'll get deeper into that. But June, I just want to understand why you felt in your heart that you want to be a foster mom. It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of heart. It takes a lot of like you have to be in your right mind, because this is a child that you want to take care of. They have needs. You have to get familiar with who they are. They come from different backgrounds, so you have to be so aware. Why did you decide to get into it?
I think from a long time before I decided to become a foster mom, I always was open to adoption. I had always thought that I'd like to have children through adoption. And then at some point, I'm actually raising 2 children who are not my biological children. One is my sister, because we lost our parents, so I'm raising my sister. So I was already a bit familiar with raising a child that is not necessarily biologically mine. I was introduced to fostering, though, by a friend who came home to visit me with a child from a children's home. And we stayed with them, and we really liked the child. We loved the child. It was what you'd call love at first sight. And then I learned, so I tried to find out, is it possible for us to stay with them more? We tried, so we stayed together for a month, and every holiday after that. And then, yeah, I don't know. I think some of these things, you have to take it a day at a time. So yes, you're right, it's a huge responsibility. But like I keep telling her, and I tell people, she adds more to our lives. She doesn't take away from our lives. So I don't see it as a huge responsibility. I see it more as a huge blessing. Also, this team made the process so smooth. I didn't have to, I really thought it was a laborious logistical issue. It wasn't. They called me. They came to my house to do the evaluation, which was very friendly. And the child has responded well to being with us. So we consider her one of us.
I see.
Yeah.
Now, Annie, I want to understand the process. She's mentioned something very interesting about, imagining what the process is, but actually what the process is and how it looks like in our country. And he said, whoever candidate this prospective adoptive parent is has to have good conduct, among other things, right? So give us the criteria of a parent who is considering to be a foster parent, or basically just a guardian, what they need to, have, or what needs to be required, of them.
All right, thank you so much. As you have put it, my name is Ann Chege. I work with the Tree of Life Kenya, or FADV if you like it, as a foster care and care reform practitioner, and I support in a program basically dealing with foster care. We are located along Waiyaki Way, and our main partner in all our projects implementation is the government of Kenya. That is through the Directorate of Children's Services. And so we don't have like our own area of operations. We support what the government does, especially in the child protection area. And thank you for having us this morning. And thanks to my team, Tree of Life team, for giving me this opportunity to represent them. Back to the question of the process of foster care. Yeah, a parent has to, number one, know about foster care, what foster care entails, and then so that the interest can develop. There are those who have maybe just naturally developed a wish or a will to take care of another extra child in their home. But again, they don't know how. So once they reach out, or maybe they get information that it is possible, one, they have an application form that they fill, as June put it. After the application form is filled and submitted back to the children officer at the sub-county level, the children officer and some partners like Tree of Life and others that are implementing foster care programs, we do an assessment together. We compile a report. We present it to a committee that is called Alternative Care Committee, that approves the parent, that the parent or the family is fit for the child. And then now from there, after the assessment, we liaise with the children's home that has children that match the family's abilities.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yes.
So the child, this prospective child, has to match this prospective family.
Yes.
Okay.
Not really like physically, but the needs. We all appreciate that every child has unique needs, and these needs need to be met uniquely by a unique family which has unique abilities. So we match these two families, and then we facilitate bonding, a bonding process. But before that, we have a training for the foster parents, the prospective now, the foster parent, and we encourage the whole family to be trained, because once the child is in the family, he's or she is under the care of all the members of the family. So after the training, they are given a certificate of being a foster parent. So now once they are matched, we facilitate bonding, a few sessions based on the age of the child and also the understanding of the child. After that, we get feedback from the family and also from the foster child, so that we see if they are matching properly. If matching is successful, now we place the child with the family. Now the physical placement with the child, with the family, and we don't stop at that. We continue with monitoring and follow up, because there are challenges which may arise either with the child or with the family, and we address them. Like at the Tree of Life, we have a counselor on board who attends to the child, to the foster parent, as they move. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. We'll go deeper into that, because I'd also like to know, when it comes to infants, how does that process look like, toddlers and the like. But Hudson, I'd like to know, we have moved away from the children homes, right, into now community, family-based, approach when it comes to raising, these particular children. Why was that decision made, and what quality of life did the ministry see that these children are having, that now they need to be in a community where they can receive some form of direct, let me say, collaboration between, these caregivers and themselves?
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Majala, for that great question. Why is the government championing children being brought up within families? And we are saying, as a country, we are part of the global village, and there was a research that was done globally on the impact of bringing children within the residential form of care. And it revealed that children are more often than not subjected to a lot of emotional damage, and therefore affecting their growth, their social well-being, and even how they interact and socialize as they grow into adults. So based on that, Kenya decided that we are not just going to accept that which has been done globally wholeheartedly, but then we also need to do our own research. So in the year 2018, the government, through support from partners like FADV and many others, UNICEF, Catholic Relief Services, and many more, we conducted what we are calling a situational analysis, just to understand the situation as it is in Kenya. And it was done in 5 counties. If you allow me to mention, we did it in Kisumu, Nyamira, Kilifi, Kiambu, and Murang'a, just to have a feel. And actually, out of that, the research findings was pointing towards the global one, that many children in Kenya who are within the residential form of care have at least one relative or a caregiver back at home, who, when supported, they can be able to take care of this child. Ideally, the best place for a child to be brought up is within a family. And why family care? We are saying family is the best place for a child, because then it is within the family, the child is able to identify with the family, values, morals, and the child is also able to be given individualized attention, as opposed to a child being brought up within the institution where there are regimented programs. There's a program that when you wake up, you are supposed to do ABCD. At this time, you are supposed to be doing such and such a thing. At this time, you are supposed to be sleeping. But within the family setup,
right,
that one is coming out naturally.
Just to pose a question there, what were the statistics of the quality of life the children from children's home were having, and the kind of person they were becoming, vis-a-vis now that you've had, since 2018 you say, children yes, now in raised in communities and families?
Yeah, thank you. It was realized that one of the reasons why children are placed within the institution is due to orphanhood. That was ranking very highly. Another reason was neglect, violence or abuse happening within the institution and some of the families. So it was quite important for us now to allow these children to go back to families And we are saying, just like they said, before we now take these children to families, we have to conduct an assessment, just to have a feel. Has the situation back at home changed? Is it still feasible for this child to go back? So we are not just saying children are supposed to be taken to families. It's a process that is preceded by an assessment and liaising with other service providers within the community to be able now to give support to this child as they are being reintegrated back to their families of origin or the extended families, or the would-be foster parents like our sister here.
Right.
Yes.
Now, June, you had training, of course, to be able to handle the foster child, that you're now taking care of. What did you discover that you needed to work on, especially when it came to your, mental health awareness, information on generally just taking care of a child that is new to you and you're new to her? What have you been applying so far, and what has helped you have this journey and make it easier rather?
Oh, there's a lot. So the first thing is that you have to prioritize the needs of the child. As a foster parent, the question you get a lot is it permanent? What if they're taken away? What if, all that? And I say, what we want to do is to create the best environment for the child. And that may at some point mean that they reconnect with their family. So, for example, in my case, I've actually facilitated, together with this team, a situation where she's able to meet with some of her relatives, and I'm going to continue doing that. So that has been a process. It's an emotional process because you dread the day somebody comes and says, okay, it's done, and they take her away. But you have to prioritize the needs of the child, and that means some kind of psychological and emotional support for myself. So I've also gone for therapy just to be able to manage the process and to keep the needs of the child the priority. So that's one. Another important one is to also focus on the mental wellness of the child. Sometimes it's easy to think you're doing the best for her just because you took her out of that situation and now you're staying with her more. But you need to understand, what is she going through? So one of the things we are working together with them on is to have her also go for therapy. And even in the family, because she's been very well accepted, so she has people that she talks to. So we need to know how she feels about the process, because when we began the journey together, she was 11. Now she's about 14.
Oh, bless.
She's turning 14 in a month. So she's old enough to understand what's going on.
Mature in a way.
Yes. So she understands, she knows what's going on. It's important to keep her in the loop, explain to her why this is the case, and not, she left her family when she was very young, she wouldn't remember. So we would need to tell her what's going on, just so that we are, hopefully, as Hudson is saying, hopefully we are taking care of the child in a wholesome way as a community. So that has been quite a process for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I get that. Anne, you had mentioned about also the child assimilating specifically. You're matching this child to this prospective family. And I had asked you, before we went on, with Hudson and June, about what if it's a toddler, a baby, for that matter. And it's a whole other dynamic as opposed to now you see for June here, 11-year-old. Now you have a 6-month-old or so. Explain to us how that dynamic looks like.
Yeah, it's very interesting that we may assume that this is a toddler. He or she doesn't know anything, whatever is going on. They have not developed maybe such
like
strong
intricate
bonds,
emotions, yes,
and all that, and emotions and all that. But out of experience, I've seen several cases whereby a child could be very quiet, very reserved. He or she just sits in the cot, baby cot. But there's this one particular parent who always comes, and once they pick him or her, he's all over. And they bond so well. And you wonder how this happens. But aside from that, There's also that reaction you'll see in a child. There's a child that you just hold and he or she will refuse to be held by a certain person and accept the other. So on our side, and also the children's home social workers, we observe how the two are relating. Actually, with the toddlers, observation works best, not feedback, but observation works best. And then, like from the foster parent, the prospective foster parents, you'll see how maybe they are handling the child, whether they are interested even in changing the diapers of the child every time they visit, whether they bring maybe even some diapers, some other utilities for the child and all that. So it is more of observing. It is easier because the younger the child, the easier and faster it is to bond with somebody. I always make fun and say for a small child, you just say abuju buju toys and he's like, yeah, this is the person I want.
Yeah.
Unlike a child who is a bit grown, they have developed attachment with other people. So this is a new person who is being introduced to them. It takes more time and we give it more time for bonding. We give it more sessions for bonding and feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Hudson, let's take a look at how you can really determine like the family, like what measures the government has put in place to make sure that people are who they say they are, right? Because one of the concerns that you find with Kenyans is, you know, the level of corruption underneath some processes. Someone may want to be a foster parent, but for them, you know, they're not confident or sure that the process actually works. But here we have a foster mom, and she says the process has, you know, per se worked. So you find that there's maybe lack of information, or some people don't even go through the proper, you know, channels to basically just, you know, be those particular parents that they, you know, want to be. So how do you make sure that, first of all, the checks that are done are clear, and these people are actually, you know, meaningful people, that they do want to raise children, they do want to have, you know, a meaningful and connection with this particular children that they want to have in place?
Yeah, thank you again for that question. What we do as government through support from partners, there is what we are calling the criteria that one has supposed to meet before now they become a successful foster parent. And you have to be a Kenyan citizen or a Kenyan resident if you are not a Kenyan citizen, and you must have stayed around for close to 12 months. So we have to prove that by looking at the documents you present. Are they in tandem with what has been provided for? The other thing is to ensure that you are able to offer a safe and nurturing environment, and you have that capability. So in so doing, we are doing a home visit. We would talk to you, we would talk to the significant other within the neighborhood, and where need be, the religious institution, to those of us who are affiliating themselves to different form of beliefs. Then we also need to check in terms of your conduct and morality within the society. And in so doing, we would want you to provide a certificate of good conduct. So that document will be able to be looked at and proved if it is valid. Then on top of that, just like she said, that we have what we are calling the care reform committee at the sub-county level. And there is where, after Madam June has done an application to become a foster parent, those documents are presented to that committee. So it's not a one-man show or a one-woman show for that matter. Our officer now provides the technical guidance, of course with the support from the members of that care reform committee.
All right. Okay.
So after they look at that, then it will be very clear. And furthermore, we said from the start of this program, foster care is free. There's nothing that you are supposed to be charged. Only presenting the required documents.
All right, that is clear. Okay, we're taking a short break. We'll be back with more of this conversation. Do stay with us. Okay, that is quite clear.